Welcome everyone. It's Angelo Robles. If you're live, it is a Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. Among my favorite times to do a live as I begin to wrap up the day. And come on, I got to watch game one, the New York Knicks. We maybe only get this about once every 25 or so years. Hopefully, this time we'll win. So today, I want to keep it relatively simple. You have become Readable is the title of my conversation. And it's been an interesting and busy week. I hope many of you go back in YouTube and watch it. My live I did yesterday with Jim Murchie, the Titan on energy and electricity. Oh my God, he is so good. I know it's a little nichey, it's a little technical, but as an allocator and investor, if you really want to understand that market, Jim Murchie might be it. So I do recommend that. Tomorrow, we're going to go live, meaning Thursday at 2 o'clock, with a really special guest, a pure family office, generational in terms of family member. And they are just about the most active user of AI integration in a native family office of any family office that I know. So, really a pleasure to have them on. It'll be exciting, and I recommend it. That's tomorrow, Thursday at 2 o'clock. So that will be a lot of fun. But without further ado, I'm worried about right now. Tomorrow's tomorrow. So I noted you have become Readable. And why, which we'll get to, 2 days in June this month, will separate the families who command this era from those who simply get read by it. As I've stated many times, and now it's happening faster than I thought. Most family offices being built, even right now, are being built for a world that is just different. I could be blunt and say no longer exist. They were built to administer complexity, to coordinate advisors, to manage assets, to run a quarterly review, to keep the calendar, a structure like designed to preserve capital. Maybe that's what I'm looking for in a world slow enough, keyword, to be managed reactively. Is it just me? I think that world is gone. And the family office built for it is becoming obsolete, but there still is hope. Most of the principles, word that I use, running those family offices, just they kind of haven't been told yet, although I'm trying to tell them. So let me be the one who tells you, if you're newer to this content of mine and a little bit of my focus the last couple of weeks more than ever on AI. I'm not going to sell you anything per se in the next few minutes, but I am going to describe, I think, what is happening right now, even to many of you in the family office world, whether you participate in it or not. And then you can decide what kind of principal or executive within a family entity, a finance firm you are. So here to me is what's happening right now. Somewhere at your level, in your asset class, maybe across the table on a deal that you both, hey, as family offices, we have competitors as well. Both have been circling. There is a family running what I define as sovereign intelligence infrastructure. You don't know which family. That's the point. And there is more and more of them. The family or that family saw the signal in a registry filing like 2 layers removed from your shared GP 3 weeks before it even reached a channel for you to monitor. By the time you understand there was a situation, they already have engaged their counsel, adjusted their position, and drafted effectively their response. The family ran the opportunity. The two of you are evaluating, through 19, those of you that know Perplexity, 19 models effectively overnight. A more thorough, more adversarial analysis than honestly your team produced in probably weeks of sequential work leading into that, and walked into negotiating knowing more kind of about your side. And yes, this business does get competitive than you do. The family caught the regulatory signal on a jurisdictional affecting a holding that maybe is shared like days prior, before the research desk have even published it, and they moved. They already acted. You were still reading the research note when kind of that window, that opportunity closed. Understand the nature of this. And as an allocator myself, and having been in this for decades and knowing so many family offices, all these are real. It is not necessarily that they are faster than you. It is they are, all of this becomes more transparent to them with the resources that are there and can be at your fingertips as well. In other words, how I started and how I wrote it out, like you've become readable. Everything you are about to do, a family with this architecture that I've described over well over a year now, they can model before you do it. Your next position, constraints, your tells, the next move. You're not even really a peer or competitor to them. You're in some ways more of an information source. You'll understand that soon. It's not really a productivity gap. It's kind of a sovereign or an intelligence failure. It's happening tonight to someone at your exact level while maybe you're just watching a screen. So just 5 days ago, the floor under all this moved yet again. What was it, May 28th? Anthropic released something that they call dynamic workflows, the capability to run not one agent, but hundreds of them. And yeah, it uses a lot of tokens, it costs money. Hundreds of them in parallel, each one checking the others, each one trying to break the other's answers before a single result ever reaches a human. The proof is already public. One engineer used it to rewrite like 750,000 lines of professional software, a job that would have consumed a funded team maybe for a quarter in 11 days. Verified. They're doing this. I mean, that case was even quicker than that, out of a serially tested. Like something that would take a month or longer, it's happening so much quicker now. Now sit with what that means for the people in the family office or the finance institution that you pay. The analytical work you have been buying, sometimes for millions of dollars in attorney and consulting hours, now could run overnight for a few $100s a compute. The drafting, the modeling, the optimization, the diligence, all of it has crossed to the other side of the curve. And it is not coming back. Just the Anthropic suite, a frontier model that anyone could access. You don't need to set up Sovereign. You don't need to have really that much tech capability per se. The resources with Cowork, with Claude Code, and the capability of their managed agents, their finance agents, and what I described as just about a week ago, what they call dynamic workflows. I get it. It buzzes through tokens. I'm not saying it's cheap. Its power, its capability, and its speed. It's incredible and only going to get better. Understand, it will never be worse than it is this very moment that I'm talking. Many of you heard me state when I was in LA at Milken, I had a chance to meet with someone who knows two private equity titans that all of you would know their name, into their 80s, deca-billionaires. And they spend 2 hours a day on this, and they're the people that least need it. You heard about 10 days ago, Ken Griffin coming out talking, we just don't need as much PhDs anymore. We're doing more with less, effectively, better, and faster. You saw Jamie Dimon on stage with the CEO of Anthropic, Dario Amodei, talk about how he vibe coded, a pinch of an outdated term, and created like a workflow app in like 20 minutes. Was that what it was? Like, these are the people that least need the advantage, and they're doing it. I don't want you to be caught in your level of resistance to some degree might be arrogance and fear, normal human emotions. Wake up. Things are changing. It's a very intriguing time that we're in now. Whether you like it or not, in the end, the tech kind of always wins. Now, the expensive people around you are not necessarily bad at their jobs, but they may be on the wrong side of the demonetization curve. And most of what you write checks for now is probably a rounding error in someone else's budget. The family that figured that out is redeploying those millions into advantages. I know, I see it. And kind of you're still cutting the same checks. Here's the part that probably should sting the most, because it is true of nearly everyone watching this. This is only 3.5 years old. So imagine 5 years ago, an easy number. No family office on earth had the access and resources that you have available to you right now. Not the Rockefellers, not the Pritzkers, not the biggest families in the world. You can imagine the largest, most sovereign grade family office on the planet. None of them have the same resources that are at your fingertips right now. You're alive in the first generation in human history. Okay, maybe a little bit of hyperbole here, but you get the picture, with like multiple Einsteins 168 hours a week on call. Not a metaphor, really operationally. The rarest minds that you could assemble working your problem in parallel 24 hours a day. No scheduling, no billing, no politics. And most of you, and hopefully it's a wake-up call, don't take this the wrong way, are using it to draft pretty bad emails. You don't know what to use, how to prompt, about meta prompting and other more advanced techniques, but we'll get a little bit to that shortly. The principal who recognizes what is sitting in front of them and the principal who uses it as a search engine with better grammar they're just no longer in the competitive class. It feels like they're not even in the same century to those that are actively using it. Now, I know for some of you, the objection forming, because the smartest people in the room often form it first. And of course, that's what you all are. It's moving too fast. I'm going to let it settle. And then I'll build kind of on solid ground. That is the single most expensive sentence anyone could say right now. And you're dressing it up as wisdom. The calculus of it is actually completely backwards. AI moving fast does not mean you should wait. It means every day, definitely every quarter you wait, is a quarter of the architecture did not learn your family, the institutional memory, the history, the predictive, the analysis that goes back for some of you years or decades. You did not learn really how to harness it, how to direct it. And the family already running it with mindset and compounding their capability is pulling far ahead. Like I said, it's never going to be worse than it is today. The model in front of you this hour is the worst it will ever be. And the compounding, a word I used a little earlier, does not pause politely while you deliberate. It works against you exactly as hard as it works for them. The family that starts this year does not hand its rivals a 1-year head start. It hands them a gap that has been compounding every single week in fluency, in calibration, in accumulated family intelligence. And that gap cannot be brought back later. Like, I don't think at any price. The skeptic is not being cautious. The skeptic is feeding that gap. So let me draw a real line, because this is where most of you actually are. And it is a more dangerous place, actually, than being a total beginner. You probably have someone good with AI. Maybe it's you. Maybe even clever prompts, useful answers. And it feels like you're in the game. That is kind of organic AI. And organic AI, sorry, it's a far cry from institutional. You need to do more than chat. It needs to do things. Organic is talent that lives and dies also with often that one person's attention. Institutional becomes the architecture, intelligence that runs while you sleep, that survives even the people who built it, that captures the judgment. Like I said earlier, your family maybe spent 40 years accumulating and hands it to the next generation as something they can query at whatever, 6 o'clock in the morning before a meeting, instead of something that dies, which happens all the time in transition, while the dynasty quietly degrades. So the distance between organic and institutional is the entire distance between activity and advantage. And you do not cross it by reading yet another article. You cross it in a room, immersive and in person, commonly with people who have already crossed it. And that is the room that I've dedicated since I sold Family Office Association and created my new strategy and intelligence community, SFO Continuity. It's why that room exists. Not a newsletter, not a conference you attend once and forget, kind of the network behind the network, a private operating platform for principals and executives who have outgrown conventional advice, conventional access, and certainly conventional thinking. I mean, I've spent 20 years inside more than 100, family office ecosystems, well over that. Taught me one thing that separates the families who endure from the families who quietly, and sometimes it's more spectacular, but quietly decay. The isolated principal makes the expensive decision. Fragmented advisors, casual experimentation, carrying it alone. I built this, again, the network behind the network, to, I hope, to end that. So when you're a member, here is what is yours. Direct access to me in my experiences, my 2 comprehensive AI books, one I call a manifesto, the other more of an operator's playbook. I don't sell those to the public and never will. My master classes in AI, first one this year, coming up June 23rd and 24th, a full year of proprietary intelligence, far more than AI, geopolitics, structure, family dynamics, many different things, and proprietary content that I've accumulated, built, and adapted over the years. You get real connections to principals and executives operating at an incredible altitude, and global programming from Vienna to LA, New York, Palm Beach, Mexico City, and so forth that really runs every month. So my AI Family Office Masterclass is under 3 weeks away, June 23rd and 24th in New York, and it is only for members of my organization. It's not a velvet rope for its own sake, because the work that happens in that room only happens among people who have made kind of a commitment to build. You don't really buy a seat, you join, and kind of the room opens. It's a workshop. You bring your computer. You could bring your son, your daughter. You could bring an IT person or someone internally from your family office, your enterprise. Now, picture the line that you're standing on. I think this is a really, really important point. We're in early June. Join this week. And you don't walk into June 23rd and 24th cold. You spend, in this example, near 3 weeks as a member preparing the books, the frameworks, the questions, the connectivity, the understanding, the faculty, the instructors, and even some of the people who are incredible from around the world, including coming in from Germany and all across the US as members. This is actually, by a pretty good margin, maybe this is not so good, my largest AI Family Office Masterclass comparative to the 3 that I did last year. And we have a little more capacity, we have the right room, but I don't want it to get too big. And to me, the number I'm looking at is 15. We're at 13 now. So imagine getting that head start, the connectivity, the private books, which are incredibly unique, digital, you get them quickly, the access, the connectivity, the preparation leading into the masterclass. And then you get the immersion with your computer of being there in a really intense workshop. This is, it's not glitzy at all. I don't even think we're going to do a dinner one of the nights. This is just hard work. But imagine where you'll be. Like even heading into a big holiday here in the US, July 4th, you would have been a member. You got the books, you got the connectivity, you understand things, you attended the masterclass, you're taking action. And then you're going to iterate and be incredibly active and understand everything from the full frontiers, the open weight models, open clause applicable, Hermes, things you could build yourself in Pi, etc. Imagine where you're going to come out of this summer. You're going to be unstoppable. As a principal, a rising gen, an executive in a family office, a young entrepreneur, you're going to have an edge. You're going to be among easily the top 1% of users of AI within whatever industry we're talking about, especially in the stodgy industry of the family office and finance community. You don't think that that's going to be an incredible edge. It's a huge edge. This is an example at the masterclass where the 2 days where kind of the organic, and that's being generous on some, really becomes more institutional, where the architecture stops being something you read about. Now, this is important, and becomes something you actually start to build. If myself as a 60-year-old, old term, vibe coded 8 months ago and built an app that I got on the App Store with not 1 second of AI engineering help, and it's gotten so much better and so much easier. Like I said, within a month, by the 4th of July, you will have such an advantage. That mental mindset and the compounding of your capability is going to give you a huge edge. I know because I lived through it. I do it. And then you have the whole summer, and we have dinners coming up and private gatherings in New York and Greenwich, maybe the Hamptons. Then you integrate. This is the part no one else will maybe promise you, so I will. Spend the season building what those 2 days start kind of inside the network. By the time it turns, you will not recognize like yourself in your own family office. It could be that stark if you take the actions. Now, yes, you will have to build it, rebuild it. You will have to kind of, to some degree, maybe rebuild your role inside it. Not more activity per se, but a massive operational advantage. And I do mean massive in capital letters. The kind that compounds quietly for the next decade, while everyone else who started later, and it's inevitable, they're all going to have to start. Don't you want to get that head start? So here is something that's me being very direct with you. It is a choice, stated the way that even my manifesto that I wrote notes it. Ego or interest. Ego says, I should already, or I do understand this, so I'll wait quietly alone where no one can watch me learn or implement. Interest says, the sharpest move available to me is to walk into the room, put my ego and arrogance, ignorance, and fear aside with the people who might even be a year ahead, who are coming from around the world, and let that asymmetry start paying for me upon the first conversation. The principal, the person, the executive who chooses interest does not lose status. They acquire The only advantage that still compounds at this level, at the exact moment in their life when being early pays off the most. And let me tell you, that room, like what that room actually is right now, because this is the part that I'm generally excited about that I mentioned briefly in passing a couple of minutes ago. People are flying from all across the world. And it looks like I got a person who joined just last week, mainly strictly for the proprietary access to me, my books, the masterclass, the follow-up masterclasses through the year, and then eventually in Florida come first quarter, and my other core programs and forums, dinners, lunches, proprietary info. But these 2 days, June 23rd and 24th, set things in motion. And I have the best faculty on AI integration with families besides me. 2 to 3 others. They're the best in the world. I got 2 seats left to take me up to 15. The average masterclass had 7 or 8 last year, so it's definitely growing. Now, that comes after June is the part that should make, like I said, your pulse move, because the masterclass is not the finish line. It's kind of the starting gun on a summer. Like I'm sorry. I've been in Greenwich for years. I know how the big hedge fund managers think. What they spend a lot of their time in the Hamptons, they take their pedal off the metal. This is not the time to do that. Why did Sergey Brin, worth over $200 billion, and I mentioned Ken Griffin earlier, I mentioned Jamie Dimon, I mentioned, without their name, but the 2 private equity legends. This guy is back there grinding day to day in Google. This is the time. It doesn't mean I don't want you to enjoy your family or certain downtime. Hey, we all like to go to Aspen in the Hamptons when we could. But now's the time. You got to put in the grind. Sergey's doing it, and he's worth $200 billion. Picture it. You walk out those 2 days with the architecture, even before that, really in motion. And you spend July building, iterating, and that's how you really learn. Now you could spend August then compounding it. And again, like I said, inside this network, where principals on multiple continents are coming together alongside you on this journey, comparing, you develop lifelong relationships. What's working, pushing each other past what probably any of you could have reached alone. And by the time the season turns, it always does, you do not, unless you really did something wrong, do not have a slightly better entity, family office, whatever. You have a different one that I believe is sovereign, awake while you sleep, reading the field instead of being read, remember my title, by it. Handling the next generation or handing them something they command instead of something that decays in their hands. It's this summer. It's this month in June. This is the summer in front of families who decide this week. Waiting is definitely not the safest choice. Waiting is the choice, as I hinted, to stay readable, to remain the deal the other family, already modeled. You could switch this summer into something else. So again, my AI Family Office Masterclass, June 23rd and 24th in New York. We have incredible families. And actually, now that I think about it, taking up some of the space, but it's good. One of the European family founders' principles is bringing their 2 relatively younger, I think late teenager, early 20s children. We have another member bringing another younger family member as well. Now is the time. This is it this summer. Be the most aggressive user of AI in your field, whatever field that may eventually even convert into. Join now. Walk in effectively as a member. And let's make this something your family, your enterprise, your family office stops being something that you just manage and becomes something the rest of the field measures itself against by what? By the end of the summer, by the fall? You know what to do. I guess I'll see you in the room. Many of you know it's easy to reach me at angelorobles.com. And actually, the new member that joined last week that will be joining us driving up to New York, he texted me 203-570-2898. The next day, we had a conversation, move forward. We did an onboarding Zoom, shared my proprietary content and resources, especially the 2 books, got a little bit of prep ready heading into the masterclass, and just has a head start. And all the proprietary videos and content leading into that, and understanding the faculty and being really, really prepared makes for a huge difference. So go to angelorobles.com. It's very straightforward. Learn more, membership. We also talk about the AI Family Office Masterclass. And again, I'm going to have that incredible guest on tomorrow, live, Thursday at 2 p.m. He's never been a guest on mine before. And that's a real family office who effectively has morphed into becoming highly AI native. He's incredible and a lot to share. And imagine being immersed in that over 2 days with him and others at the masterclass. angelorobles.com. Learn more. I look forward to you joining, to seeing you there. It's been a busy week. I got some travels this week. Tomorrow I got the podcast. I'll be out and about. I don't think I'll be doing anything from the road Friday and Saturday. Look forward to hopefully maybe going live again on Sunday. And I got some incredible guests coming on next week. So everyone, I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Michael. That's very kind words. You all have been too nice to me the last week or two in these lives. I'm used to, usually the YouTube comments will come in pretty hot and heavy. Not always so kind, but that's okay. My 60 years, I've been through a lot. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful evening. And again, if you're watching live, I mean, come on, I'm a New Yorker by birth, even though I'm all over Connecticut, Wyoming, and out and about now. But let's go New York Knicks. Okay, everyone, have a good evening. Thank you.